A highly respected industry mainstay, this former MTV VJ boasts skills as an actor, comedian, club DJ, and radio personality. Before reaching his fame on MTV's highly rated 90s show, Yo! MTV Raps, Ed Lover belonged to the eccentric and enigmatic hip-hop collective known as No Face. During his second year on Yo, No Face released their debut album, Wake Your Daughter Up, on their Def Jam Rush associated label, No Face Records. Ed Lover, along with partners Shaw and Mark Sex, were the first label to give noted director Hype Williams a shot at video directing. When MTV got wind of the adult content of Wake Your Daughter Up, Ed Lover was given an ultimatum by MTV brass to either leave No Face or leave MTV. Due to his power to program the videos on Yo, the group decided it would be in the best interest of the label if Ed stayed on at MTV. As a result, there are no pictures, credits, or mention of Ed Lover on the album. However, if you listen, Ed is clearly heard all over the project. Ed and his partner Dr. Dre continued to co-host Yo! MTV Raps, which became the mainstream platform for 90s rap music videos, introducing hip-hop culture to the world. The Ed and Dre alliance led to hosting the nationally syndicated The Morning Show with Ed, Lisa, and Dre on New York City's own Hot 97. Being the first all-hip-hop morning show in the country gave birth to all hip-hop nations to follow. In 1993, Ed Lover went on to co-star and write the story for New Line Cinema's largely successful movie, Who's the Man? The duo released the certified gold album, Back Up Off Me, Back Up Off Me, as well as the book Naked Under Our Clothes. The duo continued to release music, act, and perform together for well over a decade. Today, Ed Lover continues to impact entertainment across all platforms. He has appeared as an actor on According to Jim, The Jamie Foxx Show, The Cosby Show, and most recently, USA Network smash hit Psych. He has appeared as a host of HBO's KO Nation, as well as the cult classic Battle Dome. He continues to perform as a stand-up comedian all over the country, and his highly popular show, Ed Lover and Friends, recently sold out the world-famous Caroline's Comedy Club in NYC. Just being me, staying grounded, my family and belief in God is what has sustained me up until this point, says Ed about his ability to be successful in entertainment. Ed has mastered his use of in-depth industry knowledge to continue his pop culture commentary and comedy performances, most notably through his hilarious and poignant web series, Come On Son, which pokes fun at pop culture, celebrities, politics, and the world. Ed has garnered over 5 million YouTube page views with Come On Son, a Facebook fan page with over 150,000 subscribers, and a following of over 200,000 on Twitter. The series can also be seen on E1 Entertainment's comedy platform, Certified Funny, keeping the funny man connected to his fan base and reinventing himself in front of a younger audience. The older folks know me from Yo. The younger folks always yell, "Come on, son," when they see me. Ed's love of comedy and entertainment has led him to successfully host on all 3 major radio stations in New York City, Hot 97, Power 105, and the now-defunct 98.7 Kiss FM. He continues to entertain the world via Sirius XM satellite radio show, Backspin, Channel 6 television, film, and commercial appearances. Recently inducted to the Hollis Queens Hip Hop Hall of Fame, Ed Lover continues to lead as a unique icon in the world of entertainment, analyzing trends one laugh at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, help me introduce Mr. Ed Lover.
Good afternoon, folks. To God be the glory all the time, and thank you all for coming out today, and thank you to Albany State for having me here today to talk with you. Today I wanted to, first of all, I want to just give big props to Regina Bradley, PhD. She is definitely a hard act to follow. So can you give another nice round of applause, please? Absolutely amazing, and I found myself transfixed on every word that she said, and we'll exchange numbers with her because I'm going to make sure that she meets Outkast, because Outkast and I are really good friends, so that wouldn't be a problem for me. But today I wanted to talk about the fantasies and the realities of the music business. The fantasies and the realities of the music business stem back to way before I was born. Stem back to my parents' favorite artists, favorite musicians, favorite everything. There's always been a fantasy and a reality to the music business, and especially hip-hop. I am hip-hop. I am hip-hop personified. I am hip-hop in the flesh. You are looking at hip-hop. Hip-hop, actually, music, but especially hip-hop saved my life. Without hip-hop, I would have probably got locked up a long time ago. There was one point in my life where I was definitely on the wrong path, in the streets, doing what I wanted to do, not listening to my parents. I come from a great background, two-parents household. And for a minute, the streets got me a little bit. But it was hip-hop and my love of the music and my love of being an MC that really kind of steered me along on the right path. And I was telling some of the students earlier today, I said that one of the students in particular, the worst thing that I ever did was stop playing trumpet. I was a musician for a long time, and from music, it became a top 40 band when I was young, and music just continued and continued and continued. And then MTV, I saw MTV Raps on television, and I saw the name Ted Demme on top of that, and I said, I know Ted. I fellowship with Ted in church, and let me give Ted a call. And I gave Ted a call, and then after a while, I just kept bugging Ted about me being on MTV. Let me get on your MTV Raps with Fab Five Freddy, because no one knows more about hip-hop than I do. So when they decided to do a daily show, Ted gave me a call and said, you have to come in and audition. I came in and auditioned. Ted had the foresight of putting Dr. Dre and I together, and the rest is history. But I didn't know a lot about the business. I didn't know a lot about MTV. I didn't know anything really about business. So when we went in and we decided to do it, Ted said, MTV has $1,000 a week, and they want both of y'all, so y'all have to split $1,000 a week. So we were like, fine, well, I'll take 500, he'll take 500. We used to do 5 shows a week, and for the first 2 years of us doing MTV, Dr. Dre and I were not afforded a dressing room. Everybody else had a dressing room. We had to change clothes 5 times, but we didn't have a dressing room. We used to step behind the set and put our clothes on. And every time I used to walk out in the street and someone used to see me, they go, here come my man Ed. He's on MTV, boy. I know you rich. I know you rich. I had a car that didn't have reverse. I wasn't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but because I was on television and because I was in the music business, I was rich. Had to be rich. Had to be getting money. It wasn't until we hired Leon Cohen, who was the head of Rush Management, as our manager, that Dr. Dre and I got any kind of suitable contract from MTV. The fantasy was that I'm on TV 5 days a week, I got to be paid. The reality was I wasn't paid. And the fantasy and the reality still exists to this day in the music business. Most people don't know Tupac died with little to no money in his bank account. Most people don't know that Miss Wallace, Biggie's mom, only got money from Puff because of the embarrassment factor. Biggie died with little to no money in his bank account. Couldn't pay for the funeral costs by herself, so Puff picked up the bill. But Big didn't have any money. He had $1 million videos. They ran around, they talked about more money, more problems. He was on a speedboat going backwards. There was motorcycle chases. But the reality was, Big really didn't have any money. There's a lot of young people that used to watch MTV Cribs all the time. This guy got this, and this artist has this, and this artist has that. A lot of times the record companies rent the houses just for MTV Cribs. The fantasy, they balling, they got it. The reality, they don't have it. And the reason this exists is because most people that get into hip hop, especially on a performance side of things, don't know the business. They don't know the business. I tell people all the time, it's just like anything else. If you want to know something, if you want to be good at something, you have to study it. You have to study the business. This has been going on for so many, many years. Back to when Berry Gordy used to give the Temptations a Cadillac in lieu of giving them publishing. There was only 2 men that walked away from Motown with any kind of publishing, and the publishing is where you make your money. If you write a song, you get your publishing, you own that publishing, that's where you make your money. 2 men, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson. The only ones that kept their publishing. Berry Gordy took everybody else's publishing. Get your car. Yeah, got a brand new Cadillac for you outside. What about my publishing? It's a Cadillac outside for you. But what about my publishing? It's a Cadillac outside for you. Oh, I'll take the Cadillac. You never take the Cadillac in lieu of the money. If you don't know the business, you are going to get caught up in the business. Most of the artists that you love today, young people in the room, are feeding you a fantasy. 9 times out of 10, they're going to end up broke because they don't know the business. They don't know the business. There's nobody to teach them the business. And even if they come to get a large sum of money, a lot of times they lose that money. Why? Because most of us don't come from money, so we had nobody to teach us how to handle money. A lot of times they're steered into the wrong direction, whereas the record company will recommend an attorney for them. The record company will recommend a tax advisor or financial planner for them, and they will go with what the record company tells them. The fantasy and the reality of the music business is really mind-boggling sometimes. You don't know the business. When you become an artist, you get signed to a record label. Back in the days when the record label signed you, they would give you a budget for your album. You take your budget for your album, you go in, you record. Everything that you record comes out of your budget for your album. Then the record company has to recoup every dime that they spent on you before you see a profit. Now, your profit is points. It's on a point system. You get a certain amount of points. A certain amount of points is worth a certain amount of money. But there was also always, what most people didn't know, a return policy on your record. So every record that you don't sell that comes back gets charged back against your account. So say you blow up, got a hit record that's on the radio, record company comes to you, we got to go on a promo tour. How are we going to go on a promo tour? Don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. So they take you around, they're flying you from city to city, there's cars that's picking you up, you're going from here to there. Every time you go to dinner, your record rep reaches in his pocket, pulls out the corporate card, puts it on the table. Don't worry about it. I only take 5 of my boys with me. Yeah, bring your boys. Yeah, we're going to stay in 5-star hotels all the way. All of that goes against your royalties before you see a dime. Every single dime that they spend on you, every hotel you stay in, every time you take your boys, every stylist they get for you that makes your clothes, even down to the plastic shrink wrapping on the old CDs and the jewel cases are charged against your account, not their account, your account. And if you don't know the business, you probably don't know that you're getting pennies on every record that's sold. So until they recoup all of their money, you don't see anything. There have been artists that have sold 10 million records and never gotten a royalty check from a record company because they cost them so much money to promote it, and then they cook the books. You're not controlling the books, they cooking the books. So you are never going to see a dime. The majority of the money that's made today from artists is from their live performances. Now here's where it gets funky. The record companies have done something that they now call the 360-degree deal, which was put together by a very good friend of mine, former president of Def Jam, Mr. Kevin Liles. The 360 deal is this. Who are you? You're nobody. Who are we? We're a company. We put everything behind you to make you a big star. So why should we only profit from your record sales? Now we profit from everything. We get a percentage of your live shows. If you do a TV show, we get a part of that check. If you do a TV commercial, we get a part of that. Everything that you do, if you sign with a liquor company and the liquor company gives you $50,000 to promote their brand, you got to give us a piece of that too. That's the 360-degree deal. Everything you do now, when you sign, the record company gets a piece of it. The fantasy looks great. Oh, we'll take you to the jewelry store. We'll take you to the jeweler. We got the jeweler. We know the jeweler. You want a big Jesus piece with diamonds in it? I know the jeweler. I'm going to take you down to the Diamond District, and I'm going to get you that. You want such and such to direct your video? I know him. I'll get him to direct your video. And we're going to pay him $60,000 to direct your video. So the video director gets the $60,000. We're going to say your chain costs $100,000. That's what we're going to bill to you. But in reality, we're only going to pay $50,000 for it. And then the jeweler is going to kick me back $10,000. And the video director is going to kick me back $20,000 for throwing the work their way in the first place. And all of that is going to be charged back to your account. All of that. Tupac lived in a space that was beautiful. I rode through Atlanta many times with Tupac and his Bentley. When Tupac died, it got snatched back because Suge Knight and Death Row owned it. He didn't pay for it. He didn't have to worry about his bills. It was all taken care of. Do whatever you want to do. You ball out if you want to. Go out and spend. Here's a corporate card. Spend all the money you want to. But all of that is going to be taken back before you see any money. The fantasy of the music business is what's alluring. The carrot is always dangled in front of your face. You could be the next Jay-Z. You could be the next Beyonce. The reality is, it's a 1 in a billion shot that that's going to happen to you. The reality is, most of the time, you're going to end up with little to nothing at all, because that's the way it operates. What you have to understand is that hip-hop now is a business. When I came up in hip-hop wasn't a business. We were doing it because I wanted to be the best. That's it. We were doing it because you shunned me when I was coming around, so I made a record against your whole entire crew. KRS-One built his career off the fact that Mr. Magic and them didn't want to play his records. The same thing with Public Enemy. Mr. Magic said, nah, we're not playing that. There's no more music by the suckers. And they took that and they built upon it. The bridge is over. The bridge is over. Going directly at Shan's marquee artist, MC Shan, because Mr. Magic and them didn't want to play their records, and Red Alert decided to play their records. I want to be the best. I want to be the best. I grew up in Hollis, Queens. Run DMC, LL Cool J. Wanted to be the best. It had nothing to do with money. If you go back and look at them old videos, you really don't see those dudes wearing too many big chains, and half the time their sneakers don't even match what they have on, because it was done for the love of the music. Once corporate America got their hands on hip-hop, hip-hop became a business. And once you get yourself involved in business, you have to know the rules of the business. You have to know how the business is played out. Music has always been a business, but hip-hop became a business once people realized that hip-hop is a viable form of music, that millions and millions and millions of kids from around the world buy hip-hop. And a lot of artists today, they think United States when hip-hop is worldwide. It's a worldwide phenomenon. So half the time you don't even know what record company overseas is selling your records, and you don't even see a royalty check from what's coming overseas, but they will keep you looking the part without padding your pocket. I'd rather have the money in my pocket than to look the part. The fantasy, they keep you in that fantasy. If you want to, I got a man. I know One Stop from LA. One Stop is a dude in LA that has anything you want. You want money, we get it for you. You want we get it for you. Call One Stop. You want weed? One Stop got the best weed in LA. We get it for you. You need a chain because somebody else's chain is bigger than yours. We will get that. As long as you are selling records, we'll get that for you. No, we don't want to let you buy it on your own. A record company is more like a pimp than anything else. And you are, I'm going to pimp you. I'm going to work you. I'm going to use you until you know more good. And when you know more good, I'm going to kick you out because the next was standing right there waiting to take your place. And I'm going to sever ties from you, and I'm not going to return none of your phone calls. And you wonder why you got dropped. The clearest example of that I've ever seen was L.A. Reid and Def Jam Records started an adult contemporary part of Def Jam, and they signed Patti LaBelle. Patti LaBelle is a musical icon. She's a legend. And they put an album out on Patti LaBelle. They didn't work the record right. They didn't promote the record right. The record didn't sell, and they dropped her. And I said, how do you drop Patti LaBelle? How do you just sever ties with Patti LaBelle? Like, get out of here, Patti LaBelle. And if they could do that to Patti LaBelle, she's an icon. Imagine what they do to a young person just stepping in, wanting a deal real bad, don't know the business, willing to take whatever attorney that they recommend for you. If they recommend an attorney for you, obviously the attorney is working with the record company. But we're too blind to see that. So, of course, the negotiations are going to go not in your favor, but the favor of the label, because they're selling you a fantasy. They'll bring you up in there. They'll introduce you to Jay. They'll introduce you to whoever you want to be introduced to. They'll take you backstage to whatever hot concert is happening, saying, this is what's going to happen to you. You're next. This is what we're setting you up to do. But the reality of it is they pimping you because they're not going to give you any money. They're not going to give you anything. The smartest artists that's out there now are the independent, totally independent artists. I was talking to some of the students earlier, and we were talking about Tech 9. Not the biggest artist in the world, but probably one of the artists with the fattest pockets, because he is completely independent. Mac Miller is another one on the youngest scale of things, because Mac Miller, when everyone courted him, he wouldn't sign a major record deal. He decided to keep it independent. So every dime that he makes on the road from every record that he sells goes into his pocket. They pimp you, they use you, they abuse you, and then they get rid of you like a common piece of trash. If you want to be into the music business, you have to know the business side. It ain't personal, it's business. Business, business, business. If you don't do anything else in your life and you're even thinking about getting into the music business, you better know the business part of the music business. Fame is short. Fame is fleeting. I've been blessed to be around this music for well over 25 years. And I've seen artists come and I've seen artists go. I've gotten into trouble with the IRS because my parents never made the money that I made. My parents, they didn't do it. In 1993, I was on MTV and Hot 97 at the same time, and I was grossing $1.5 million a year. In 1990, my mother couldn't teach me what to do with $1.5 million a year because the most my mother ever made was like $25,000, $26,000 a year. There was no one in my family to teach me how to handle that money. So I listened to quote unquote experts in the industry and said, go to Burt Bedell. Let Burt Bedell handle you. Burt Bedell handles everybody. And I let Burt Bedell handle my money. And Burt Bedell decided that he needed to pay my bills for me. He needed to pay an estimated tax for me. And I thought it was cool because that's what everybody else was doing. Like, yeah, I'm going to do that because you know what? I'm big time. I'm on the road. I'm doing this. I ain't got time to pay my own phone bill. Let Burt Bedell do it for a percentage of my money. Then when the IRS came knocking and I went one day to the bank, and I looked, and they took $86,000 from me in one shot. I was like, what happened to my money? I thought Burt Bedell was taking care of my business for me. No, because I didn't know the business. I didn't know enough to say, I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. I didn't know enough to say, I'm going to find a tax guy, an accountant. And that's what I eventually had to do, was go get an accountant, like a regular accountant, away from what everybody else was doing. This guy that said, Ed, it's time to pay your taxes. Because another thing that I forgot to mention was at the time, I wasn't a quote-unquote employee of any company. So I got paid flat out. They didn't take taxes out of my check. It was like, how much do you make? You make, this is what you get from the radio station as an independent corporation and from MTV. This is what you get, you pay your own taxes. We ain't got nothing to do with that. So it took me a while to learn how to handle the business part of it. And handling the business part of it goes back to knowing your self-worth. You have to know who you are as an artist. You have to know that I'm not taking this just because I'm desperate to sign with this company. I'm not taking this just because Jay-Z took me out to one of the hottest restaurants and courted me to sign to Roc Nation. If that deal is not in my favor, if I can't earn a living that's going to sustain me for the next 10 to 15 years, then I don't need to do this just because it's Jay-Z. I'm just using Jay as an example, or just because it's Russell Simmons, or just because it's Kevin Liles, or just because it's Leo Cohen. If it's not in my favor, then I shouldn't do it. If I don't understand this, don't get an attorney that they recommend to me. Let me go find my own attorney to look over this paperwork for me. I'm not going to sell myself short for the fantasy of the music business. And the fantasy of the music business is huge. It stretches so far that it's beyond belief how they will pimp you out, how they will use you and abuse you, how they will set you up in the house, how they will set you up in the car, how they will set you up with different women, how they will get you addicted to the high life, the drug life, how they will do all of that just to keep you going, but you're only going to be as good as the last record that you put out that charted, the last record that you put out that was a hit. There are too many artists stemming all the way from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up to 2014 that made some of the most incredible music ever on this planet and ended up broke. One of my favorite artists of all time is Prince. The reason why Prince changed his name to the Symbol and had to leave Prince alone is because when he was dissatisfied with his contract with Warner Brothers and he went to leave, he realized that Warner Brothers owned the name Prince. He couldn't record under Prince. Prince Rogers Nelson is his given name. It's not a name that he made up like MC Scoobity Bop or whatever. That's his name. And he couldn't record under his name because he was so young and so naive that he signed a piece of paper that said the moniker Prince belongs to Warner Brother Records and all of their subsidiaries. He couldn't even record under his own name. So he had to make up a symbol to record under. Eventually, he won the name back. He had to go to court. He won the name back, but they jerked him. Now, if Prince can get jerked, imagine what they'll do to you. And you're nowhere near in the stratosphere of an artist that he's in. You'll get jerked. Everyone gets jerked, one way or another. Everyone. When Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson had their famous falling out, they had a falling out because all the early Beatles stuff that went on to sell millions and millions and millions of records, they had sold their publishing rights away. And their publishing rights were coming up for sale. So a lot of great Beatles songs. And the Beatles are probably one of the most popular groups in the history of all recorded music. And they had sold their publishing rights away. Paul and Michael did Say, Say, Say and a couple other songs together. And they were having a casual conversation. And Paul was telling Michael that they were getting together, himself, John Lennon had passed, Yoko Ono was representing that family, and the rest of the Beatles, and they were going to buy back their publishing. He told Michael that, and Michael outbid him and bought all his publishing. So they fell out. They didn't speak for many, many years. But that's part of the music business. Your publishing, the songs that you write. If you're an artist that writes all your own material, your publishing is worth much more than you think it is because your records never stop selling. They never stop selling. I have a RIAA, the Recording Industry of America, gold album from Back Up Off Me. Dr. Dre and our album sold 500,000 copies. I have never received a royalty check. Never. Never. And that album still sells. Somebody somewhere in the world is going, wow, I didn't know Ed Love and Dr. Dre had an album. Let me buy this. Your favorite albums in the world, how many times can you remember that you bought that record? How many times have you bought a Criminal by Outkast? Yeah, exactly. How many times have I bought Illmatic? How many times have I bought Doggy Style? How many times have I bought The Chronic? How many times have I bought Into the 36 Chambers by the Wu-Tang? Over and over and over again. You drop it, it scratches, you loan it to somebody, they never give it back, Oh, those records never stop selling. If you don't own that publishing, whoever owns that publishing is getting paid over and over and over and over and over again. Over and again. But most of us get into it, and you'll sell your publishing in a heartbeat. Biggie sold his publishing to Puff. The Lox sold their publishing to Puff. Death Row owned a lot of Tupac's publishing because he sold it to Suge. A lot. And you sell it for junk. 50,000, 75,000, 100,000. It's not even what it's going to be worth 10, 15, 20 years ago, especially if you become that iconic figure in the music business. Especially. They sell you a fantasy of you're going to be rich, you're going to be the biggest thing in the world, it's going to happen for you, you're always going to be on top of the game, and the reality of it is you're not. A lot of times you look, and especially you young folks, because you look at it, you always look at things like, that's him, that ain't me, that's him, that ain't me, that's going to happen to them. No, see, that's, Dad, that was you and the Temptations and them, and David Ruffin and them, that's your generation, that ain't going to happen to me. Nah, Ed, that was, Run DMC and that 90s, 80s stuff, that's you. That ain't going to happen to us. And then you find out later on that somebody that was supposed to be big to y'all couldn't even pay an attorney when they got arrested. Or somebody's house got foreclosed on when y'all thought they had all of this money. That's what they want you to think, that they're making all of this money because you see in a video, because they're on television, because they're doing this, because they're doing that. That's the fantasy. The reality part of it is that it's not like that. It's rarely like that. Rarely. Everything that you see is not real. It's not real. They'll front for you. Oh, yeah, Lil Wayne's birthday baby come with the $1 million in the briefcase, and he pop it open, he put it in front of Wayne, give Wayne $1 million. And all y'all get on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and wow, baby gave Wayne $1 million for his birthday. All you saw was the money on the top. He popped the briefcase open. You saw the money on the top. How you know it's $1 million in the briefcase? You took the money out and counted it yourself? How do you know? Baby's a baller. I just saw Wayne. They showed Wayne's house. He had a Lamborghini. He had a Bugatti, $1.5 million Bugatti, sitting in the garage. Wayne's doing it. You been to Wayne's house? How you know? How do you know that that's Wayne's Bugatti? How do you know they didn't rent that Bugatti for the day just to put it in the garage because he knew the cameras was coming through? I saw Wayne and them. I was at a club, and I saw Drake and them, and they was in the club, and they had like 75 bottles, and the lady was coming through, and she had the sparkles, and it was going off, and it was turned up. It was turned up. They had like 75 bottles. I'm telling you, Drake and them is doing it. Every time Drake and them step in the club, they A, are getting paid for being there, and B, on their rider, it says you have to bring 75 bottles. So we look good. 10 people, what y'all doing with 75 bottles of liquor? It's ridiculous. So what happens after that? People who are brand can do that. Mercedes gave Jay-Z a Maybach. When the Maybach first came out, they gave it to Jay-Z. Know why? Because if Jay-Z's seen in it, people that actually have money to buy one will buy one because Jay-Z has it. Jay-Z had the Audemars deal. Y'all didn't think it was a deal. You just kept hearing Jay say, Audemars on my wrist, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What Rick Ross and all of them dummies do? Ran out, got an Audemars. Everybody wanted to have an Audemars. Jay-Z got on the record with Kanye West and said, new watch alert, Hugh Blow. All them big face rollies, I got 2 of those. Now what's everybody rocking? Hugh Blows, Rolexes again. I had a Rolex in '89. I still got it. Diamond presidential Rolex in 1989. Why is everybody rocking a Rolex? Because Jay-Z said it's hot. Why did Jay-Z say it's hot? Because Rolex cut him a check. Hugh Blow cut him a check so all the sheep can follow. Remember when it was platinum? Anybody remember that? When we was rocking platinum? Platinum was heavy. Gotta have the platinum, babe. Everybody got the platinum. Remember the rose gold? Gotta have the rose gold, baby. Gotta have it. Same thing with the 4-finger name rings and all of that other stuff that we used to rock with the medallions, just the medallions. Nas had the big dumb medallion plate that he probably couldn't sell back to a jeweler if he tried to. Ghostface had the big stupid gold eagle on his arm that depreciated as soon as he walked out. As soon as he walked out the jewelry store, that thing is junk. Right? And everybody follows suit. Everybody's like, yo, that's what I gotta look like. This is who I gotta be. That's the fantasy of it. This is who I need to be in order to succeed. I gotta put on a hip hop uniform. I gotta drag my pants all the way down under my butt and walk like a stupid penguin through the hallways. If your pants are comfortable down around your butt, why are y'all always pulling them up? It's a mystery. I got to do that. I got to do this thing with no shirt, and now everybody's wearing more than one chain, so I got to have a small chain and then the bigger chain underneath here and a bigger chain underneath that, because that's the hip-hop uniform. I do Jordans, sweats, and stuff. I wore a suit today because I'm 51 and hip-hop's grown up. And I could have showed y'all the Ed Lover. That's an avid sneaker collector. I could have showed you that Ed Lover, but I had to show you a grown Ed Lover, but I still got to represent with my shell toes. But I had to show y'all how much hip-hop has grown up. Jay-Z is 43 years old, almost 44. He's on the Forbes list because he's a brand. That's not going to happen to everybody, but the labels take the carrot and they dangle it in front of you. Look, you could be like Jay-Z. It's Jay-Z's face on the carrot. And like dumb horses, all the artists follow suit. I'm going to be the next person on the Forbes list. But I don't know the business. Jay didn't know the business for a while. It took a team of people around him, most notably John Manili, who's his brand manager and business partner, to teach him how to utilize the power that he had as a brand to make himself almost the first hip-hop billionaire. But that doesn't happen for everybody because he understands the business. He understands putting himself next to people who are great and making y'all think that he did that. He made y'all think, oh, I signed Rihanna to Def Jam. No, he didn't. Rihanna was already at Def Jam. Shakir Stewart signed Rihanna to Def Jam. Oh, I had Rick Ross. No, you didn't. Oh, I had Kanye West. No, you didn't. Dame signed Kanye. You didn't even want Kanye to rap. You told Kanye, give me the beats. When Kanye was part of Rockefeller, you made Kanye pay for tickets to your concert. But because Kanye's hot, saddle myself up next to Kanye. Dr. Bradley was talking about how y'all romanticize Tupac. I knew Pac personally. He wasn't no tortured soul. He was a rapper. He's a rapper. He was a rapper. He made money. We popped bottles in Magic City together and got thrown out. He's a rapper. He's no martyr. Do the same thing. We romanticize Biggie. Oh, man, if Biggie, Biggie ain't want to be dead. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to get shot. I wish I had the Polaroid with me because I would let all of y'all see it. I took a Polaroid picture with Biggie 15 minutes before he walked out of the Peterson Automotive Museum. We sit next to each other when the fire marshals stopped the party because of overcrowding. Turn lights on, everybody got to go. Sit right next to Biggie. We drink a champagne. He says to me, are you going to Nas's party? Edwin, because that's what he called me all the time. I'm like, yes, Christopher, I am. And he said, do you want to ride with us? And I said, nah, I got a car. I had a rent-a-car, so I got a car in the back. I got up to the party, my pager went off, because that's how long ago it was, 17 years ago. Everybody had sky pages. My pager's going off, 911, 911, 911, 911. I go in the house, use the phone. They tell me I got to get to Mount Sinai. Somebody just shot Big. He didn't want to die, man. I don't care if he made an album called Ready to Die. I don't care if his next album was called Life. His next album was Life After Death. So that shows you he wasn't ready to die because he wanted everybody to see. He never got to see what that album could be. He never got to see what he could be. He has a daughter now that's in college. He never got to see that. Pac never even got the opportunity to have children. He never got to see their full potential as artists because they got so caught up in the fantasy of hip-hop, the fantasy of being tough, the fantasy of being bad, the fantasy of being badder than everybody else on the planet, the fantasy of carrying a pistol on you all the time, the fantasy that sent Ja Rule to jail, the fantasy that sent Lil Wayne to jail for gun possession, the fantasy that sent Mobb Deep's Prodigy to jail for gun possession, because I have to live up to this tough guy image that I put out. Why did I put the tough guy image out? Because that's the way I gotta look to you guys. I have to be tough. I have to be that. Kwame, who's a great producer and a good friend of mine, almost had his whole career ruined because Biggie said, your life is played out like Kwame and them effing polka dots. Destroyed the dude. Dude did nothing to Big. Didn't even know Big like that. Just that one line on Unbelievable almost ruined the dude's career. Kwame went on to produce a lot of 50 and Lloyd Banks and Missy Elliott and just a lot of other people. He's a great, great friend of mine, a great producer and a hip-hop icon in his own right. But I said to Kwame, you're here. He's dead. Who won? That's the reality of it. Who won? You didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to run into the studio and make a record. You didn't have to do anything. You're alive and you're standing here right now, and he's not here because of the fantasy that was created around him. This tough guy, we beefing with the West Coast, and we out here. When I tell y'all we were out there in L.A. the night Biggie got shot, turning it up like we owned L.A. We was all on the Peterson Automotive Museum yelling, show me the money, yeah, New York's in the house. And all the while we yelling that, them West Coast dudes was in the cut just looking. As soon as he walk out of here, we gonna tear him up. And they did. Pac thought he was the baddest dude in the world. He walked around with M.O.B. tattooed to his arm because of Suge. Mob, I forgot it was over something, blood. Tattooed to his arm, running with Suge Knight. Stomped the kid Orlando out right after the Mike Tyson Bruce Seldon fight. Didn't think, man, maybe there's Crips out here in L.A. Rolled up on him at the light, took him out. Living that thug life, that fantasy thug life. A lot of people run around and live that fantasy and don't understand the reality. The reality is no matter how tough you think you are, there's somebody out there that's tougher than you. The reality of the music business is if you don't know the music business, if you don't study the business of the music business. Dr. Joel is sitting right here. I just met him. He teaches the music business, not the fantasy. He teaches you the business so that you are prepared when you walk in. You are prepared. When Pac died, Suge made a ton of money. When Biggie died, Puff made a ton of money. That's the reality. They dead, we still here. We making money. I got Ciroc now. Would that have happened? I don't know. I don't know. Biggie's Life After Death went diamond. That's 10 million in the United States. Would that have happened had he been alive? I don't know, but best believe Puff ain't turned that check down. He ain't say, oh my God, my man dead, I don't want the check. Give it to his mother. Nah. Here you go, Miss Wallace, $2.5 million. The rest, boop, in my pocket. Suge, I don't know what he did for Miss Shakur, but guaranteed she didn't get a quarter of what he got, and guaranteed that the people that are above them, they were subsidiary, what I call boutique labels, right? Owned by Interscope, Death Row, owned by Arista and Clive Davis on the other side. I didn't even see Clive at Biggie's funeral. He wasn't there. When Miss Shakur spread Tupac's ashes out on the sea, Jimmy Iovine wasn't there. Next, got 50 Cent coming. Next, who we got coming next? Through Arista. They don't care. That's the reality of it. You're only as good as the music you make. Please, young students here, listen to these professors. You're so blessed. You know why you're blessed? You're blessed because you got hip-hop professors. You got professors that have PhDs that live hip-hop. So they can relate and they can tell you what the reality is of this music business. Appreciate y'all listening. Way to do it is to stop looking for a major label deal and to stay independent. Even if it's better for you to sell 50,000 records, okay, and put that money in your pocket than it is for you to sell 250,000 records with a label.